community. Rapport helps you build your community. The goal of rapport is this: to cause clients to feel comfortable with you and your recommendations, to take your career to the next level through relating to others easily, well, to list and sell more homes in less time with less resistance. If you're in leadership, it's to enroll more recruits in less time with less resistance, and to cause others to act and share, well, because they relate and trust you. The ultimate goal is to live a better life because communication is just easier. And for the rest of the call, I'm going to be sharing a strategy allowing you to become more effective in your ability to connect with strangers and, of course, influence prospects and clients and staff. Naturally, the fact that you decided to join this session illustrates your belief that possessing an ability to influence will allow you to take your real estate career to the next level and help more clients. Have you ever noticed that some people, well, they just naturally have others listen to them at a higher level than other people do? You know, those people who never met a stranger, they seem to be instant friends with everyone they meet. Does it seem like they're blessed with some sort of a secret power? It's almost like they're some sort of a Jedi and they have the Force. I am the sales professional you're looking for. Okay, I know that was a horrible, horrible impression at Yoda. And luckily, I'm much better at using my language skills than doing impressions of fictional, brilliant characters. What can I say? It's not magic. Language of sales is not magic. It's not a superpower, although it can be used like one. Most likely, the people that are good at those things are using proven communication techniques. They know how to communicate with people in a way that causes the listener to feel good about making decisions and be right about taking action. So let's do a quick exercise. I trust all of you have a blank sheet of paper around or someplace to write notes. So write down two things. The first, write down how many strangers you bump into on a weekly basis. Now, hear me out. Think about this. Whether you're at the store, a grocery store, whether, you know, I live in a high rise, so I bump into people in my building all the time, in your neighborhood, at the park, at the gas station, at restaurants, at your kids' school, via social media. Consider that when you're commenting on a friend something and there's a bunch of other friends that you don't know, that would be like all being in conversation around each other, right? So how many strangers do you bump into on a weekly basis? So just give yourself an estimate, okay? So does everybody have that number written down? Everybody say yes. Okay, good. I heard you all. No, I didn't. So now I want you to do this. Take that number and multiply it by 50 weeks. Yes, I know there's 52 weeks in the year, but I'm going to presume you're going to take a couple weeks of vacation. So multiply that number by 50 weeks. You know, so if you bumped into one person a week, that would be 50 people in a year. 2 would be 100, 3 would be 150. So you get it. Go ahead and type your number in the box. What's your annual number of people that you bump into that are a stranger you don't really know? So 500, 250. Let's keep them coming. 50,000. Trina, you get out a lot. That's awesome, Shirley. And I think that's probably a realistic number too. 1,000, 500, 750, 500, 5,000, 5,000. Exactly. I mean, if you think about all the amazing interactions we have, 1,700, 750, I mean, you see the numbers there. Think of all the amazing interactions we have that we don't really take advantage of. Okay. So you all have your number now. Now, I understand that you may just be learning and are not that purposeful at playing the language of sales rapport building game yet. So let's just say this. Let's say you have 3 opportunities per week, okay? At 50. At 50 weeks, that's 150 total opportunities. And let's say you're currently connecting with 10% of those, which would equal 15 people. So I'm going to do a little math here. So see where on the top of the screen it says current reality, 3 ads to the DataBank weekly equals 150 opportunities. Whatever number you typed in the box, that's your number of opportunities. So for instance, I see Eric Schreiber from Strongville, Ohio says 1,000. So his number in that top line would be 1,000 opportunities. Okay, so stick with me here and let's do some math. So let's say you're currently only connecting with 10% of those strangers, which would be in this particular case, 15, right? Which would be 15. So in this case, it's 15. And then let's say that when you're connecting with that 10% that could be added to your database, I mean, these are the people that may want to buy a home, sell a home, invest in real estate with you at some point in the future. Now, let's presume that you actually convert your database at a 10%. You're doing the 36 touch, you convert it at 10%. So in this little itty bitty sample that you have on the screen, that would be 1.5 transactions. And we can't really do a half a transaction, so we're going to round it up to 2. And then we're going to multiply that by an average commission of 5,000. That equals $10,000 to an agent in lost opportunity. That's the current reality. So do a moment, take a moment and do the math. Take your opportunities, the number that you came up with and put it in the box, multiply it by 10%. So if it was 1,000, it's 100. If it was 5,000, it's 500. Then multiply it by a 10% conversion and you have a number. Now multiply that number by your average commission. Go ahead and put that number in the box now. Go ahead and put that number in the box now. So in this little itty bitty example, we're saying, you know what? We're missing out on 3 ads a week and we only convert at 10%. And we're doing a decent job at converting the database at 10% times the average commission. So we're getting everything from 50,000 for Nikki, Bertha, 450,000, Monica, 75,000, 70,000. Love Tanya. She's got specifics there, 148,750. Okay. So hold on to that math. Let's stick it on the shelf for a few minutes. So that's your number now. That is your reality. But let's look at potential, okay? Because we're going to talk in possibilities. So let's say now that as the result of your newfound language skills, you can convert additions to your database at a 50% return. So that means in the example on the screen, instead of taking that 150 that we would need all year and only converting at 10%, now we're adding 50% of them to our database. We would get 75 transactions. And if we convert at a 10% on our database, which is pretty typical, that would be 8 additional transactions. So now do the math using the formula that's on the screen. Take your same number of ads for a year. What was your opportunity? Multiply it by 50% and take 10% of that and multiply it by your average commission. And let's see some of the numbers. Let's see your potential impact when you increase your language skills and connect with more people more quickly. So we've got 250,000. What else? $350, $300. I mean, think about it. This $40,000 example that we use is pretty minimum. I mean, how many of you would be happy with just adding $40,000 to your bottom line? That would be great. And yet you've already identified you have way more potential with that. So let's call that number you just put in there lost potential income. Lost potential income. And for those that are saying maybe the math went a little too fast, go back when this is posted in YouTube, as Madeline said, redo your math and you can pause it and stop it. The bottom line is even if you were converting at the smallest amount and had an average commission of 5,000, we're looking at a minimum of $40,000 to $50,000 you could add to your bottom line. So now are you understanding why I want you to really, really, really focus on the rest of this call? So let's state one more thing that needs to be made very, very, very clear. Using your elevated language skills is not manipulation. It's not. The definition of manipulation is exerting shrewd or devious influence, especially for one's own advantage. That would be me getting someone to do something for my benefit. And I know everybody on this call, you're doing this for the client. We are not using our MAPS language of sales skills for the power of the dark side. Now, here's what we want to focus on. You must choose to become more effective in your language to make an impact on your listener and empower them to take action with you. And when you enroll in the language of sales, I'm going to be coaching you through on a weekly basis how to better connect with people in a way that causes them to act instead of procrastinate, causes them to choose you because you're a force for good and you want to help them get what they want. And in this uncertain market, oh my gosh, they need professionals like you. And when they get what they want, you automatically get what you want. Can I just get a few yeses typed in the box so that I know you're tracking with me on that? You are here for the good of the client and you getting paychecks. Well, that's just the really great benefit, right? All right, fantastic. Everyone's on board. So then let's proceed. So let's now learn a quick method of building instant rapport that we teach in the MAPS language of sales. So consider that even in this day of texting and emailing and again, social media interaction, you can still add a lot to your bottom line by making connections with people that you meet, just living your normal life and at group activities like your kids' sports activities or, at open houses. The method I'm going to teach you works extremely well. And like most things in life, well, the more you use it, the more you practice it, the better the results are going to be. One more thing, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable when you're first learning this, right? Because if it was comfortable, you would be doing it already. I'm sure that makes sense to you. It requires you to put aside your normal way of being. Let's stick it on the shelf, your automatic, natural communication style that you've used your entire life. It may feel unnatural at first, so you'll have to be okay with being a little humbled by doing something different than you've always done. So think of it this way. The class is called MAPS Language of Sales, and we're talking about never speaking to a stranger. And part of the course is learning a new language and language patterns and new ways to communicate. Think about the last time you learned a new language. I mean, I don't know about you. It took me a lot of repetition, practice, and focus to actually become good at it. I was willing to pay the price because for me, where I was right then wasn't where I was satisfied. And where I am right now is rarely where I'm satisfied as being. I love to learn. So here we go. You meet someone and you want to initiate a real estate conversation. I mean, you've been told that, right? Like nobody's a stranger. You should be able to talk to anybody. And yet it feels uncomfortable, right? So you meet someone and you want to initiate a real estate conversation because it's our goal to meet everyone. Your goal is to connect with the person you meet in a way that they like, remember, and feel connected to you. If they're not ready to buy or sell at this very moment, well, you want them to give you their contact information so that you have permission to stay in touch with them so that when they are ready, you'll be keeping in touch with them. This is what we were talking about, right? Meeting people, adding them to our database. So I'm going to start by telling you the what, and then we're going to talk about the how. So instant rapport. We're going to build rapport doing three things. We're going to pay close attention to their model of the world. Then we're going to respect and connect with them. And then we're going to follow them until rapport is built. And then we're going to lead based on a strong connection. So remember this, we're going to pay close attention to their model of the world, which is another word for their perspective. We're going to respect and connect with them. And we're going to follow them until rapport is built. Now, stick with me. This may sound confusing, and you'll understand in just a few moments as I explain the how. So when you meet someone, instead of insisting on them liking you for who you are, you're going to be like them. People relate to people like them. They like people like them. They trust people like them, and they remember and enjoy interaction with people like them. So guess what you're going to do? Right. You're going to be like them. How would you like it if when you first met someone new, that stranger, instead of reacting to you like a stranger, they felt right away that they were safe, or a friend, or, that you were someone they were intensely interested in getting to know? What if they loved and even repeated the conversation that they had with you? What if the line you were standing in moved and they, followed you to continue the conversation, and you were both happy to have that communication continue? That's the goal of the language of sales, whether it's on the phone or in person. We want to connect with people and have them love the conversation that we shared. So first, it's paying attention to their model of the world. You bump into someone in line, and I'm going to tell you the how now, so pay attention here. You bump into someone in line, you make eye contact, you smile, and you make a comment about something you observe and start a conversation. This actually happened to me last week in the Austin airport when I was coming back from Mega Leadership Camp. I was literally standing in the line to get on the plane, and I noticed the lady next to me had these great shoes. I mean, for me, great means super comfy. She glanced at me and I said, "I love your shoes. Are they as comfortable as they look?" She replied that they were, and they were perfect for work. Well, when she said they were perfect for work, of course, I asked her what did she do for work, which led to, wait for it, her asking me what I did. Right. Through the 5-minute conversation, I found out what she did, and that she was actually flying home for the Easter holidays. She mentioned her mom was seriously thinking of moving, and that she would probably need an agent that she could trust because she lived 1,000 miles away from her mom. Yep. Instant rapport was built because of a shared interest or an interesting comment. And an addition to my database was made. Now, you may not connect on comfy shoes. However, there's always something to connect on. Find something you can comment on and make a very neutral, safe conversation, opening the comment with a question. Now, stay with me here. When they respond, you intensely pay attention to the way they speak, their tone, their rate of speech, their body language, and especially the look on their face. I know this is a lot. It's new. And remember, new language isn't always easy to learn. And you already understand that once you learn it, it's yours forever. So they respond to your comment, and you're going to listen intently like the most interesting, like they are the most interesting person on the planet. And you make your observations and commit to respect and connect with them based on their model of the world. We're paying attention to them. And when they respond, were their eyes twinkling as if they were speaking of the greatest joy in their life? Were they frowning as if they were in pain, just thinking about what you just discussed? Did they look off into space with some nonverbal cues of what feelings and the comments elicited in them? You've observed their behavior, and now you're going to follow their lead. This is part 2. Respect and connect with them based on their model of the world. You take on as much of their body language as possible. Are they slouching? Are they leaning? How are their feet positioned? Are they leaning in or leaning back? Are their arms crossed? Remember, you've observed their way of being, and now you're going to follow as much of that way of being as possible. You're going to pick out something from your observation, something from the verbal and nonverbal cues, something from their bodily response, and put it all together in a response. And you're going to stay there with them in conversation and being for as long as you have to until you feel connected with them. So in the example I spoke of earlier, you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is so much to remember. No, as I was having the conversation, I noticed the lady had a wheel bag, a carry-on, just like I did, and a small purse that she had not over her shoulder, but hooked onto the straps of her wheel bag. And as she spoke, I casually slipped my shoulder bag off, put it on my wheel bag, and held my bag with two hands the same way she was holding hers. We were both holding our two bags the same. Think of it like we're riding a pony, right? As we stood in front of each other. I was matching her body language. You'll know you're connected because you'll test the connection. When you're in rapport, you follow. I followed, I did what she did, and then I lead, which is step 3. You actually learn about others and how they are being, and then join them in their world. And then when you're a rapport, they give you permission to lead. So as the lady and I continued our conversation, her name was actually Michelle, I moved my feet and she actually moved hers to be in the same position. Now, did she consciously do this? No, she just did because we were in rapport. She was now following. So wait until you see this work in your life. In fact, you know what? You probably have already seen this. If you have a child, know a child, ever were a child, you know that when they're emotional about something, they're down there in their little person world and they're crying. You lower down to where they are and you put on a sad face and you start with their tone and you slow down, which is actually you getting in rapport with them. And then you start talking in a happy manner and you start to bring them out of it. And wouldn't that be great? It's truly that easy. So right now, you're probably having one of two reactions to everything we just went over. Either your inner voice is saying, no way, never. They are going to know, they're going to catch me. I can't do this. Why should I? I'm smooth. People like me when I'm being me. I'm too cool for this. Yeah, whatever. Too cool for that number that you put in the box earlier. Or maybe your reaction was, I can give it a go. I mean, the world's greatest communicators use these methods after all, and well, they seem to work. As soon as you try it, you'll see how powerful it is. And you have to practice over and over with everyone to start to internalize it. This is when you'll see how powerful it is. And you have to practice it, practice it, practice it. This is when you'll see that you're in rapport with someone. They breathe a sigh, they lean in, they share, they connect, and maybe ask you a question like, well, how is the market? Of course, the goal is to connect and get them to do something right now or to turn them into a database member